We're going to end up taking probably half of that capital from him, and then we're opening up for other investors. So if you'd like to join on something like this, you can go to homeinvest.com and book a 15-minute call. Don't worry, the official event, it'll start soon enough, but we won't start without you. Just like you can go to homeinvest.com and book a call. If you want to learn how to buy beautiful cash flowing deals for less than the cost of replacement, then you're in the right spot. Now, in a moment, I'm going to bring on Mr. Steve Werner. Okay. Steve is one of the top capital raisers in the world. I had him at an Arizona conference with 4,000 capital raisers, and he got voted in the top 2%. The reason is because Steve is really good at listening to investors and then just giving them what they want. We don't do any hard pressure sales or anything like that here. Like, we're literally just like, let's listen, let's understand, and let's try to match the right opportunity. The other reason is because we invest our personal cash in these deals. I would never go and promote something that I didn't put my money into. It doesn't make any sense. We invest our personal money alongside of your money. So if you're looking for operators like that, that's us. The other thing is that we can usually self-fund these deals. We don't have to have investor partners. And I think that makes a big difference for people that are considering investing, like knowing that there's on the other side of the fence, the other team has something to lose. And we would have a lot to lose, probably a lot more than some would in the space, because our reputation is fantastic. We've got a 4.9 out of 5-star rating on all the review platforms. So I've been humbled by over $100 million worth of deals coming through our business, like humbled. And we get to manage these kind of resources for our clients. It's taken nearly 2 decades to get there. And I'm going to be brief with this. And this is important. Okay. Number one, you have to have disciplined acquisitions to do what we're doing. We submit over 100 offers to get one deal. Name a team that does that. We do. You have to have world-class operations. I know that when everything was going up, even the rookies looked good. They covered up their bad mistakes because it was going up so fast. Nowadays, you have to have world-class operations. Insurance costs are up. Interest rate costs are up. Like, you got to be tight with your efficiency on the ground. We do that here. I would put up our team against anybody in the country for operations. The last thing is market timing. This is a little bit of a God thing, or maybe a good luck thing if you want to call it that. But market timing does make a difference. And when you've got people like John Gray from Blackstone saying that this is the time, you might want to pay attention to it. If you'd like to explore investing with us, go to homeinvest.com to jump on there. Now I want to get ready for the main event. I need you to type in the chat here. I need you to welcome to the stage. And I know that Zoom doesn't have a stage, but this is a virtual stage. And the more you actively engage, the more you actively learn, the more you'll retain. Studies show that you retain 92% when you're actively engaged. You only retain 51% when you passively sit back. So if you want to get a good ROI on your time here, then please help me welcome to the stage, Mr. Steve Werner. Woo!
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Opportunity Zone today. If you are joining us live, we have got something super special in store for you. We are actually going to be going to one of our machine shops live. This is in response to a couple different things. One, if you've been paying attention to the news at all right now, Trump is talking a lot about tariffs and bringing stuff back to the United States. This is called reshoring. Nate's been talking about this for the last year since we started buying up machine shops. So we are going to be taking you live on location to one of our machine shops. We're also going to be discussing what investing in machine shops looks like, what we've been able to do with the shops that we've owned. We've been able to get explosive growth. We're going to go through why and how that has happened. We have a completely amazing show in store for you today. I want to bring Nate up. Nate, good afternoon. You are looking sharp as ever. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. Happy Tuesday, my friends. Lots of stuff to cover today.
Happy Tuesday. It is going to be an absolutely amazing show. If you're new to our world, if you're just joining us, Nate is the founder and CEO of HomeInvest. Chris is on here with us. He's the co-CEO as well. We got Mike Fritz, who helps manage our machine shops. We are all going to be here talking about how awesome this is. We're going to do some roundtable discussion as well. If you're new to our world, we are a Christian company. Our goal is to follow the principle of Matthew 25 and help you become great stewards of what God has given you. With that being said, Nate, talk to us a little bit just in general about machine shops. I'm going to bring Mike and Chris up here as well, and then we'll kind of jump into it.
Cool. Is it cool if we just open in a quick prayer?
Yes, we start everything with prayer here. So Nate, if you'd like to lead us, I'm bringing Chris up as well.
Cool. Guys are just in time. All right. Dear Lord, as we gather here today, we've got a lot of voices listening to broadcasts, and we ask that you give us the wisdom found in Proverbs 10. You talk about the sun that goes out and gathers crops during the summertime, and we don't want to be the unwise one that sits lazy on the couch, by no means. Please let the words and the wisdom that flows today, just let it be something that everyone can gather up from. Everyone can harvest from this. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So we are going to go live on location, but before we do that, I kind of want to take just a couple minutes to talk through why machine shops are so hot right now. Like, what is going on? Maybe we can start by talking about what you've seen in the news around Trump and tariffs, and then how that's going to affect machine shops. Then Mike, I want to throw the ball over to you. We've had some very, very strong growth at the shops, and I want to talk through why, and then we'll go live to the shop.
Cool. Well, I'll talk about reshoring, what's happening right now. And so this is our industrial fund. Those of you that are like, hey, I thought usually you guys have multifamily properties. Usually we do. And our team is very hard working at getting more multifamily. But the reality is that our investors started asking for cash flow. And we went and found some industrial assets that timed really, really well for us. Ever since COVID, we saw supply chains break down, and we saw a lot of companies saying, how do I control this in the future? And this concept called reshoring became a popular thing, meaning companies started saying, you know what, we're going to figure out how we can manufacture our products right here on US soil. And since that started happening, we have seen a surge. Literally, I'll let Mike talk about that in a second, but we've seen a surge in the industrial piece of real estate that we've invested into, because they've got more contracts, they've got more revenue coming in, they're able to hire more people. Like, all kinds of these triggers are happening. And for us, bottom line, we're investment driven, we're ROI driven. And this industrial assets have not only been able to hit expectations every single quarter for our investors, but we have delivered distributions. And we're ahead of schedule, frankly speaking, from an income collection standpoint. So it's been a really big blessing for us and for all of our investors that have been part of it.
Cool. Mike, I'm going to throw you the ball. You've kind of been spearheading our efforts at the machine shops. We brought in new management. We helped grow the management team. We helped grow the team itself, and we brought in some new machines. But more importantly than any of that, we actually grew the bottom line through bringing in more orders. I'll let you kind of take the ball from there.
Yeah. So when you think about manufacturing, one of the things, as Nate just mentioned, with so many things being brought back to the States and tariffs being placed, which a lot of people get scared on tariffs, like, oh, is that going to make the price of product goes up? It could make the price of some products go up, but more importantly, it's going to drive more jobs here. And when we have demand high and labor short, you have what's called economic insurance. When you have labor shortage on a high demand industry, which is why you see the industry going a lot to automation and robotics, is because we got to find a way to make more parts. But what that does for you as an investor is that it ensures that these aren't kind of flash in the pan assets. Most of these assets we're buying have been around for 4 to literally over 10 decades. Like, that's how long standing these businesses are. We purchased one this year that was 46 years old, one that was 52 years old, and then our upcoming one that's 113 years old inside the same family. These are not like, think about the economies that spans over. That means this was started essentially right before the Great Depression. The shop we're going to talk about. So it's like these things have spanned tons of different economies, tons of different time. And now we are here in one of the more powerful assets, I believe, in the industry. And so to your point, or to your question, Steve, on how we've been able to grow this, when we came into our shops, when we and my key manager, which we'll talk to in a minute, when we look at a machine shop, we know there's 3 different kinds of customers: new, current, and dormant. New, current, dormant. So we go and we do an evaluation of every shop. New. What are great customers for our shop that don't even know we exist? Current, who are currently paying us or have ordered a part from us within 12 months. Let's build relationship. And then there's the dormant. That's often where a lot of your revenue lives. These are people that used to do business with us, but just drifted away over the years. And so we go and all we do first is we target dormant and current customers and just say, hey, we're building, we're growing. We'd love to make more parts for you. And that's grown to the tune of about 30-ish% growth at one of our shops, the one that our GM is sitting in right now. Literally it took us 10 months last year, or in 10 months this year, we've made the same revenue we made in 12 last year. Just because, and we've gotten one new customer. All of that is simply from going to our current and dormant customers saying, hey, let us make more parts for you. So these are really, and the fun part about this is there's no really ceiling on growth. We get to a point and we say, we want to make the investors more money. Okay, let's just go get a new customer. That's what's so fun about this industry. You just go get a new customer. And that's really powerful. So it's one of the reasons I love is we can control that growth track a lot more by adding some cool things into the shop that I'm sure we'll get into.
Awesome. So our plan is we're going to go over to the shop. We're going to talk with the GM. Mike's going to kind of spearhead that. I do want to bring Chris on and just talk for a second. Chris, your background is in business. You've seen business growth for the last 30 years across so many different industries. What gets you excited about machine shops?
Okay, so little known fact, my uncle owned machine shops when I was a kid. At 11, 12 years old, I used to work the tumblers where the parts go in and they get deburred with the stuff. American pride is what really gets me excited about machine shops here in this country. American pride, and I'm talking about I was working 50 years ago. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. I was working 50 years ago in a machine shop, and it was a viable and valuable business then. Fast forward here around 2024, 50 years later, and it's still a valuable and viable business that's crucial to the economy and crucial to businesses succeeding. And back to the supply chain stuff that we all suffered from, having stuff back here in America. American work being done in American shops without the nightmares of international logistics with these heavier parts too, right? So we're talking about heavier stuff because we're working in metal primarily is just a huge boost. And I think it's the right time right now with the economy and the way things are going. Other businesses are going to grow, and as a result, manufacturing is going to go with it.
Awesome. Nate, before we jump over to the shop, if you can just give us, what does an investor return look like? What's our aim for the fund return? And what does investment look like? And then we'll jump over and go through the shop. And then if you're interested in hearing more, we will do some deep dive and take some questions when we come back from the shop live.
Cool. Can you hear me okay, Steve?
Yeah, you sound great, Nate.
Awesome. So welcome to Brinkman. Brinkman is the physical shop we're going to talk about today as the last investment that we're making from this fund. This is cash flow fund number 7. It's had a really successful run so far. We've acquired quite a few assets in it. I'll talk about those in a little bit. But know that today, what we're showing you right now, this is the last chance to get in on cash flow fund number 7. We're going to close out after this because it's a closed-end fund. So the brand name that all of these shops that we currently own and this last one that we're about to buy that will roll up into is called American Precision Partners. I'll throw that over to Mike in a couple of minutes and he could talk about the brand name and the significance, but know that we already own existing cash flowing shops. This isn't a startup. This isn't like something we dreamed up in a garage and we're on a hope and a prayer. These are already existing businesses. As Mike said, some of them have been around for decades, 4 decades to 10 decades. And we're just taking over and buying their existing business and improving them, making some process improvements, installing softwares called ERPs, sending out salespeople to get more revenue coming in the door. And all that across the board for us has resulted in a couple of big things. Number one, across the board, we've seen a 20% lift on the top line numbers. That's huge just in the last year, 20% lift. But more importantly, while we've been growing this business, the bottom line has nearly doubled. Those of you that are entrepreneurs or you're in business of any kind, you know how hard it is to double the bottom line of any business. And we're able to do that while at the same time increasing the top line numbers. So for folks that are looking to invest, know that this fund, it's 79% full right now, meaning we've only got about 21% left on it. There's positions where you can get in either as an equity investor and be a partner right alongside of us. We as GPs have a substantial investment in this fund, and we're very committed to it. And so you can either get in as a partner right alongside of us, or you could come in and potentially be a debt holder, meaning you could be the bank. You could make monthly interest off of the fund by being a lender to it. If either of those are interesting to you, then we'll put up a link in the chat. It'll be a link where you can book a 15-minute phone call with us. You can get to know more about this. You can get to know more about the fund. If you're following us on social media somewhere and you're like, hey, I don't see a link, just type link in the chat, type the word link in the comments, and our team will get the link over to you. With that said, though, Steve, I can go into more detail as we progress.
Nate, my fire alarm is going off, so I'm going to throw the ball to Mike.
Cool.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So
literally his literal fire alarm.
Literally, yeah, there's a fire alarm going off. That's a lot of those parts are made in machine shops, by the way. And so go ahead.
We can do tour on site whenever you're ready. We'll go into that.
Yeah,
section.
let's go to Kirk so they can start to get. I'll introduce Kirk and how we met and Kirk's role so people understand what he does. So Kirk Phelps and I met. We bought a machine shop. Nate, the Home Invest team, and I bought one in the end of 2023. We bought a shop called Mars Manufacturing, a highly niche shop, and we needed really a GM to run that shop. And so I was on LinkedIn. I was reaching out to these crazy people and saying, hey, do you have any interest in maybe taking a role? And Kirk, who you see now on the screen, responded and said, I'm interested in having a conversation. So we started the conversation and we hired Kirk to simply run Mars Manufacturing, which is it's just one shop in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a great, powerful shop. And we quickly, after I met Kirk, and I'll have him tell you quickly his background, but you'll see as we talk to him, Kirk quickly proved to us that he's not you don't sit Kirk at one shop. He's an incredible leader. His background is in leadership in the military, and not only that, he's been in machine shop since he could walk. And so he brings an interesting cocktail of skills that are hard to find in the machining industry, which that's number one, an engineering mindset. And number two, you can talk to people. Those two things don't often go in the same head. And so a lot of times engineers are brilliant behind computers, but they don't necessarily get out and talk to people that well. Kirk does both. And then he leads all of our shops throughout the Midwest, which currently we have one in Kentucky, one in Ohio, 3 in Indiana, and about to be 2 in Ohio, and then 3 in Indiana, and then we're moving even further north. Kirk is the complete regional leader over all of those shops. And so Kirk currently is at our first shop that we ever acquired, Quick Tech Machining, down in Paris, Kentucky, and which is about an hour and 20 minutes south of Cincinnati. And so Kirk is on site today. So Kirk, just as we get into this, I'll throw some questions your way. But first, tell us a little bit about your background, short and sweet, how you got into this, why you love machining, and let us know who you are, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like Mike said, I've been in machine shops since I could walk. My grandpa was a tool and die maker. My dad was a tool and die maker. I worked for my dad starting at 16 years old in high school, and we ran all older machines, manual machines and things. And I got tired of getting cut and burnt all the time, so I decided I'll join the military and go do something even more dangerous than that, right? So I was an MP in the Air Force, spent a lot of time as a criminal investigator, went through investigator school, which is, to Mike's point, really where I kind of learned a lot of the human interaction element and kind of how to steer people, especially from a sales aspect of steering them into, I make this, but I would really like to make these other 4 things for you and stuff like that. So but I've always been a numbers person. I've been have a math brain. I have a mechanical brain. And so, got out of the Air Force and said, you know what, I'm going to go back to machining, and got into the world of, CNC, and I never looked back. I've spent 10 years as a programmer. I ran my first shop 9 years ago. I started running that one, started it from the ground up. And, you know, we mentioned the reshoring, especially with all the imports and things. When the first shop I ran, we were primarily an importer of overseas manufactured goods. And let me tell you the strain and the impact that COVID had on all of our customers with the inability to get anything. So, you know, pretty diverse background, aerospace, heavily aerospace, injection molding, automotive, some medical device. Man, I've made stuff for just about everything. So, yeah, I mean, that's mostly my manufacturing background.
So tell me a little bit about, and Nate, you can plug in anything, or Chris, anything you guys want to hear. Tell me a little bit about, Kirk, what you see for the future of machine shops over the next, call it 5 years.
Yeah, so there was a lot of people that in the manufacturing world that said, you know, the tariffs had no effect, right? It didn't matter. It did. It had a massive impact, and it's going to continue to have a very large impact. I mean, I've personally quoted several opportunities over the past, you know, couple of years that were, well, we've had this made in China, but we just, you know, the lead time is terrible. You know, the cost with the tariffs, it's just not worth it anymore. So we want to bring it back to the States. So there's a lot of that reshoring. The other thing that I've really, you know, especially after coming on and working with you, Mike, is there's a lot of, because of the lack of interest in this trade for so long, there's a lot of small businesses that don't have a succession plan. They don't have anybody that wants to take over their company. And if not for people in this space, those companies cease to exist, right? And some of them may not even think to sell, and they may think to auction. So what that does is you have, you know, this one company that makes, we'll just say 100 parts, right? And that company, the ownership decides they want to retire, they auction everything, whatever. Those 100 parts, they need a home. Well, the people that get those rehomed, those parts, are the people that have machine shops, which is us, right? So, you know, if we have 6 shops right now, we have 6 shops to split that capacity up and take advantage of that growth. And so that is another factor. It's a huge deal right now with this, you know, decrease in capacity because of these people going out, and with all the reshoring, there is a massive opportunity in this space for sure.
Yeah, this is, go ahead, Nate, and then I want to say one more thing.
I just wanted to say, Kirk, number one, thank you for your service, and not only in the military, but what you've done here. You're from the interactions that I have with you and how I see you lead people, like everyone just falls into line, and you don't do it as a dictator, you do it as a servant leader. So I really appreciate that about you, man. I've heard rumors from Mike that you've installed something on the floor that's changing things. You've installed ERPs, you've installed a new piece of equipment, probably at the Paris shop right now. Are you in a position where you're able to show us any of that?
I can take my laptop out there.
Yeah.
It may
Take
maybe
your
a little bit
laptop out there,
loud.
Kirk, and just put the Integrex in the background.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little loud out here because obviously we're actively making parts.
If it gets too loud, you can mute, Kirk, and then Mike can explain.
By the way, every investor, just so you know, you never want a machine shop silent. Silence is death. Kirk and I, when we walk in and we hear silence, our heart drops. Something's wrong. Noise is funny in machine shops. Yeah, that's our brand new machine right there. Tell a little bit about what that machine gives us the ability to do, Kirk.
You're going to go back in the office?
You can even set it out there if it's loud, or just stay out there and talk. Either one is fine.
Yeah. You're good, Kirk.
So
you don't hear any background noise.
We don't hear any background noise.
Okay. So yeah, this machine, you know, we have our standard lathes that they move in 2 axes. You have an X-axis, you have a Y-axis, right? Your X-axis is going to cut the diameter. Your Z-axis is going to cut the face. This machine machines in 7 axes, and that's because I can also control the rotation of the part in a main and a sub spindle, and then we can also mill inside of this machine. So you know,
Talk about the
more-
metrics of that bottom cutter, Kirk. Talk about the metrics of how you're now be able
Yeah.
to do that in 1 versus 4 ops and what that means for revenue. This is a big piece
Yeah.
that'll help see why we did this machine.
Yeah, so we have a bottom cutter that has to go into 2 separate machines right now. It has to be turned in a lathe and then have some holes and some mill work done in our mill. But in order to do that, you have to load the part, you have to unload the part and reload the part to run its first 2 operations. Then it moves to another machine where you have to manually handle the part 2 more times to get it through to completion, right? This machine, I put in 1 bar and I only touch a finished part. So it goes in raw, it comes out completely done. The cycle time will be faster because there's less tool changes involved as though we were doing it the previous way. And so what we're able to do is we're able to take a part from, you know, a 20 to 30% margin. We're actually able to decrease our shop rate a little bit on this machine because we run it completely unattended and have no operator standing there. And just from decreasing the shop rate slightly and the improved cycle time from the lack of handling, we're able to take a 30% margin part up to around a 70% margin part. Just from that one, that's not even any tooling upgrades and decreasing cycle times that way. So
Think about the metrics there. And Nate, you can speak to this. Think about the metrics there, 30 to 70, over doubling your margin on every part. We make over 1,000 or 2,000. I think last year we made almost 3,000 of those a year. So think about that, 70 going up to 70% margin on 3,000 parts. That's what a machine like that does. And these machines hold their value. Kirk found this machine. It's worth about $350. We got it for $250. It has equity in it. And so that's the value. We have an equity piece of machinery that depreciates on the floor, spitting out 40% more margin. And that's because of Kirk's head. You're on mute, Nate. We can't hear you, brother.
What impresses me the most is, Kirk, you said this runs unmanned, literally. So that means that you can have your guys working on other things like touching clients, quality control, things like that. And so you can just let this machine. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's really the objective in modern American manufacturing, because when we talk about the reshoring, you know, you can throw out all the things you want, but China still beats us on price. And the best way for us to compete against China is to try to eliminate as much of the labor costs as we can, right? Automate everything. And that's, you know, this is our first step here at QuickTech in doing so is, you know, right here getting an unmanned. And it's not like it's removing a job, you know, that didn't replace anybody. That just is making us more efficient to where that person that would be standing there can go do other high-level things now instead of hit a green button.
Kirk, talk to us about something called an ERP, and talk to us maybe in 4th grader terms, because not everybody understands what that is. You've been installing them and really helping the shops get organized in them. What is it, and how does it improve the shop?
Yeah, so a lot of these legacy shops, we'll call them, they have the way they track whether they're on track or not is there money in the bank account at the end of the month, right? They have no idea, you know, how they do individually on parts. And, you know, one thing that we look at all the time, I'm gonna run back in here is, one thing we look at all the time is, you know, are we running parts at a loss? And at that point, we have to either renegotiate with our customer, or we have to think about it's just not worth us doing it. You know, we don't want to throw money away. And so what the ERP system does, for one, is it allows us to track our costs on each individual part. So we can see, all right, where are these parts that we're losing money at? Now we need to renegotiate terms, or maybe this isn't something we should be doing, or we need to improve our process to make this profitable, right? So that's one thing ERP tracks, but it also streamlines our operation. Like here at QuickTech, we make the same part several times, like Mike said, a couple thousand of those one parts that go in there. So every time we run that part, we have to order raw material. We have to make sure we have tooling on hand. Maybe we inventory some parts. Do we have parts on inventory? So previously, that was three manual steps. You had to walk out to the inventory rack, see if we had any on inventory, walk to the raw material rack, see if we had raw material, and go check the tooling. Well, with our ERP system, we inventory all that. So you can sit at the computer in real time and see, I have inventory parts, I have raw material, I have tooling. You create your work order, and let's say you don't have those things, right? So we have a BOM or a bill of materials that goes into the production of these parts, and it'll just automatically generate a purchase order, send it out, get the things in. So what it does is it shows us where we're excelling and where we're deficient, but it also streamlines our operation and makes everything, it gives a lot of continuity and yeah, speeds everything up a lot.
Well, and one thing, Nate, too, Kirk and I had a meeting this morning. We installed an ERP there at QuickTech, or we're in the process of it. Kirk found a part that we were making for $7, and he told the team, we lose $3 every time we make this part. Like we have to be above $10 or we don't make money on this part. He went back to the customer and he increased the price by 65% in order to break us even, and then put in a margin, and we got a PO within an hour. The customer didn't even balk because we were tracking profitability on per part. And that's what these systems do. That was just happened today. That happened like 4 hours ago. So that's why this is a very real example of what that thing does.
This is a great example of what you're doing on site. And so the last one that I would ask on a little bit is, a lot of the shops, when you take them over, they're running on old school sales systems, meaning they wait for a customer to call, they pick up the phone, they place an order. What have you done and what has Mike done over the last 6 months or so to make shops get more sales? And I know you brought one shop from a break even to now netting 20 grand per month, Brian. So, but maybe you could talk about an example or two of what you're doing to make sales happen.
So to that point, and like Mike said, we have 3 different types of customers, and your active customer and your dormant customer sometimes are the exact same thing. And what I mean by that is you have a customer that they buy part A from you, and they've always bought part A from you. And every time they have a transition in their purchasing team, they say, oh yeah, we buy part A from QuickTech Machining, but they make parts B through Z. And they have no idea that you even are a machine shop. They may just think you keep this part on the shelf. So what it is it's getting in front of these customers and saying, hey, I know I've done this for you in the past, but this is what else I can do for you. And they go, oh, I had no idea you guys did that. And so that's, the first layer. The second layer now is with this integrated network we have, I can go to a customer like, say, for QuickTech, we don't have a wire EDM, a Swiss lathe, or a sinker EDM, which are a couple other manufacturing strategies or machining strategies. So now I can go into them and I can offer that. And they, every workforce, or the workforce in general, is so strained right now from overall lack of personnel. And so I use this analogy a lot as maybe in the past, before the latest generation started retiring and things, maybe you had 10 purchasers managing, we'll just say 100 suppliers. That's 10 per person, right? Well, nowadays you have 2, maybe 3 purchasers. So now you're looking at 33 to 50-ish suppliers that each purchaser is having to manage. So what they want to do is they want to consolidate. And that's one of the things that we're able to offer, is we're able to say, hey, look, I will be your single source for all these different capabilities that you had to maybe go to 4 different suppliers for. Now you come to me. That's it. That's and I'm the only one. And there's a lot of interest in that from all of our customers. And
because
so
you're making their life easier. It's a lot easier for them. They got one spot. They don't have to talk to 4.
Yeah. And service is the biggest one. So I've been in manufacturing my whole life, right? I buy tools, I buy work holding, I buy tool holding, and all these different things. And when I do so with service in mind, right? You're not going to go buy a new car if you can't go anywhere to get its oil changed. Why would you do that, right? If you couldn't do it yourself. Same thing with these manufacturers. They want to know that they're going to be taken care of. If something comes down the pipe and it's an emergency, they want to know, and they're working with somebody they can trust. And the only way to gain somebody's trust is to talk to them. you can't just be a faceless supplier. And so what we do is we get out and we talk to our customers, our active, our dormant, and all these different customers. And at Mars, we took one of our customers there historically. In fact, we were actually never even an approved supplier to them. It's a large medical manufacturer. And we're on their approved supplier list now, which is absolutely, it's one of the biggest medical manufacturers in the world, actually.
Which
And-
it takes months and months and months. It takes almost a year to get it on their approved supplier list. This is we just got approved.
It was a process.
Yes, it was.
So they have a company they contract to do a lot of their repair part purchasing and things like that. But anyway, total we would do historically Mars would do 60 to 80,000 a year with them. We're over 300,000 this year with them, and we have a few projects we're working on right now that we could exceed 24 sales in Q1 with that customer. Because of, they're in Georgia. I go down to Georgia at least once a quarter. And in fact, I was just down there last week, and the procurement manager said, "Oh, are you just down here doing a southern tour of all your customers?" I said, "Nope, came down here just for you." It's like, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Yeah." Or no, I'm not kidding. Sorry. No, I came down here specifically to see you, and let's get a production schedule set up for 2025. So it's leveraging that and being a partner with them and not just a supplier.
Which,
That's
Nate, is
beautiful.
where the name American Precision Partners came from. Kirk and I realized that our family of shops operate as a partnership to our customers. We're not a machine shop. We're actually a manufacturing partner. We'll go in and help them re-engineer the part to make sure it works better. We'll house parts. We'll store parts. We call it internally, we put the part in partnership, because we really come alongside of our customers and we're an extension of their team. We are essentially on staff with them. For them to lose us would be a big deal for them to be able to fill 6 shops with the kind of capacities and capabilities we have. So when Kirk says that, literally site visits to our biggest customers was the first thing we did, and visits to almost all of our customers is the second. And that alone has driven 90% of our growth.
Okay, this is beautiful. I've got one more question that Sue sent me that I want to make sure I ask, and I'm going to have you guys pause on this and think about it for a second. But there's this whole limited amount of labor that Kirk, you had mentioned, and that shortage is a concern. We've got a lot of investors that have invested with us so far in our existing shops. I'd love to hear from you in 60 seconds what the solution is for that. What I want to do before that is I'm just going to go and recap what we have as an offer. If you are an investor, if you're someone that is accredited, which means you earn $200,000 per year or more individually, or $300K as a married household, or you've got a net worth of $1 million or more, this is open for accredited investors. The way it works is that you literally become a partner with us. You send in funds. Those funds are used to purchase the last shop that we're going to buy. We've got these other 6 already. I'll put those on the screen for just a second. We've got these other 6 already that are up and running. And then we're taking in this last shop. It's called Brinkman. Brinkman has a DOD certification. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. It's incredible. It rounds up our numbers. It makes everything even stronger than we already are today. So it's a very, very good little investment. But the way it works is that you come in as a partner, and right from day number 1, because you're not buying a startup, you're buying existing businesses already cash flowing, you get distributions right out of the gates. So the way it works is that if you're doing a $100,000 investment, you get an 8% annual preferred return. You also get 50-50 on the profit. So imagine that, investing into something and literally you're a true partner from the beginning. Any upside that we earn, any equity that we build, any future value of resale of this business, you get to be part of that. The second tier is for folks that are doing 500K or more. That is a 10% preferred return. It means you get paid 10% each quarter before any managers get to touch the bank account. And so 10% preferred return for that tier. And then the third tier is for folks that are doing $1 million or more. This is for the folks that are very serious about it. We've got folks that are in this bucket now. If you want to be in tier number 3 and do $1 million or more, you earn a 12% preferred return, and you still get 50% of the profit on top of that. So it's a beautiful little setup. This is for folks that like cash flow and you like to see equity growth. You might be wondering, how long is the investment? And we're already a couple years down the path on this fund. And so we anticipate sometime between the next 2 years and 4 years, we're going to exit to private equity. You see, private equity groups, they don't want to necessarily buy one individual shop. It's too much work. You can see everything that Kirk's doing and everything that Mike's doing to make all of this happen. Private equity wants a roll up. They want a lot of them. And so that's more than likely what will help us exit at least this round of funding for people to get their cash back and get profit on it. So if you want to enjoy the ride and collect cash flow every quarter, we've never, ever missed a distribution since day number 1. And we've got very, very good foresight on the future. Mike and Kirk, I want to take it back to that question now. How do we handle the potential labor shortage?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'll speak from a perspective of when I first started this, and then let Kirk, as he's in it, hiring and building the team. One is we have to move to as much automation as possible. And a lot of people think, well, that's taking out the workforce. It's not taking out the workforce. What's going to happen is we're going to have a lot more programmers than we are maybe physical mechanics, but you're still going to have a mechanical element. Kirk and I talk about this all the time. The future of machining is solving mechanical problems technologically. So we're going to have to continue to add in technologies that whether that be robotic elements and as you mentioned, as you saw, we bought this machine that can run unmanned. And there's even some things that we can attach to that machine that makes it more unmanned that Kirk has set up for us in the future. Things that shove the metal through it and automate. You got to automate. The second thing is we've got to train and develop. One of the things I would say, if Kirk had a superpower, Kirk's superpower is he gets in a company and he helps each employee see their growth track. That's what I think he does almost better than anybody I've seen, but maybe his best skill is he works with each employee and help them see, once you get this skill, we can pay you this much. Once you get this skill, we can pay you this much. And he helps them build a track. Very few shops are doing that because, again, they lack the same people element they lack with customers, they lack with their employees. And so Kirk sits down with the employees. We had an employee that is at the shop that Kirk is sitting in right now. Kirk today, he helped him develop a growth track to help him get his revenue up because the guy's an unbelievable employee. We love that guy to death. So Kirk is helping develop him. So the first thing is you got to automate. Second, take the staff you have and water the heck out of them. Help them grow, pour into them, treat them. There are 4 main things in every machine shop: customers, machines, equipment, and cash flow. Employees and cash flow. And so when you look at your employees, you have to treat them, they are as important as customers. So automate and train and pour into your people. Those are my 2 big things that we really focus on. And Kirk, I'll let you add yours in as well.
Yeah, 100% agree with everything you said. Automation is obviously huge. I mean, we're looking at another opportunity for our shop at Mars that I have a lathe with robots to add a full automation function, even beyond what we have here right now. So, the automation thing is, that's definitely one. But the other one is, man, I cannot stress enough people. There are incredibly talented and skilled people in this trade. And what this trade has historically done is it's been its own demise by the way that more experienced people treated the people below them. And so, thanks, Mike, for, having the confidence in me and taking care of people in that way. But where that comes from is I am them. This is literally what I came from. I mean, I started sweeping the floor, running the bandsaw, all those kind of things. So I want to see the people on the floor be right where I am. I want to, whatever it takes to get people there and to motivate them and things like that. And ultimately, that's what people want, is they want to feel a part of something. And so that's what I do. I really try to foster that kind of involvement with our guys at the shop. And So what we have to do is we gotta get interest, and there's a lot of, but then we have to keep. Well, did I break
Yeah,
up there?
you just glitched a bit there. Yeah.
Oh, so we got to get people in, but we got to keep them interested. And that's my job. That's people like me have got to be doing that. We've got to keep them engaged and keep them here, and not have them go be nurses because they don't want to do this.
To your point, Nate, you remember how you said most people sales strategy is wait for somebody to call? What we have found is that's the same thing owners have done with employees. They've waited till somebody quit, and then they haven't poured into them. They don't go out looking for great people. They don't go out networking to find the great people the same way they didn't go out with customers. And so what we found is, as Kirk said, the industry's its own demise, is that lack of people skills. It has not drawn people to the industry. So again, it's taking this, the same mindset we're using with our customers. Go visit our customers. We do the same thing with our employees. We make it really hard to leave. And that's that. So to your point, I think a lot of people are struggling with workforce, not because there's not people that won't do the work. It's because they're just not people developers. That's what Kirk and I just refuse to believe, oh, there's just nobody out there. No, there's plenty of people out there. There's nobody out there that'll work under a leadership that won't care for them. There's a lot of that. But so we choose not to adopt that. We just don't.
Yeah, we treat people like people. We got adults working here. I'm not here to babysit. I don't subscribe to any of that sort of belief. Kind of the traditional mindset. We're all here to get a job done. As long as we get the job done, okay, go home. And people like that a lot. People are motivated by money.
Did he
Time
glitch
off.
for you?
Yeah, he glitched.
Yeah. Say that again. They're motivated by pay and what else?
Time off. That's it.
Yeah.
Money is the exchange for spending time away from your family. The only thing that it makes up for money is time with your family. That's it.
It's true.
It's
true. And Kirk has instituted some really cool things. If you hit these metrics, we're going to give you Christmas to New Year's off, and our guys are eating it up. That stuff just wasn't there before, Nate.
And I think you guys, you didn't say it, but you show it in your actions. You invest into people, and the guys, they acknowledge that. They love that. I did not grow up in a machine shop. I wasn't there with Chris 50 years ago. Was that right, Chris? 50?
I think he said 10 years ago. That's not what he didn't say 50. Chris is only 35.
But I grew up in the mechanic shop. Hey, you guys are doing a fantastic job. You guys are the best partners that we could ask for. Like literally since day one, when we got into this business, there was a little bit of uncertainty, and we're real estate people, and we looked at it from a real estate deal. But now I'm glad that we got to dive deeper with you guys. I'm glad that every single quarter distributions have been met. Our investors keep coming back to us, and they love the updates. They love seeing what's happening. So keep up the good work, gents. I'm going to do one last call for individuals, and we're going to wrap this up, guys. So if you're interested in investing with us, know that this fund is 79.3% full. Every single time that we put up one of these opportunities, it's filled up right to the brim. And once this one's full, it's full. We can't take any more capital for it. This is the last shop that we're able to buy this year. It's the last little bit of capital. If you're investing $100K, you can expect up to an 8% preferred return. That means you get paid that before us as managers get to take anything from the pie. And we like to take two. So we're going to make sure that we hit that fast. The second tier is for folks that are doing 500K or more. 500K gets a 10% preferred return plus 50% of the profit on the deal. And then the third tier is for folks that are doing $1 million or more. That pays a 12% preferred return plus equity in the deal as well. If you're looking for a spot to park cash where you can get substantial cash flow every single quarter, this fund has never missed a distribution, and it's on track for an exit sometime between 2 and 4 years from today. All you got to do is use the link in the chat, click that, book a 15-minute phone call with us. If you're following us online somewhere and you don't see that link, just type the word link in the comments, and our team will private message you with it. That's LINK link. Mike, Kirk, you guys are amazing. Thank you very much. Chris, is there anything else you wanted to say or add?
No,
Good.
sir. I think we covered everything.
I love what you said earlier, American legacy. That's what this is really about. Kirk and Mike, you guys are helping rep that. We love it, man. Thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
y'all.
great day.